played at high volume. This should be played at high volume. This should be played at high volume. Preferably in a residential area.
The following thoughts on Hoppe Hour do not represent Cox Media Group or its sponsoring. Anything you hear may and will be used against you. Thank you. Voted as best local podcast in Tampa Bay by the Creative Loafing. You're listening to Hoppe Hour.
What up? What is happening? This is Hoppe Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe, and this next comedian is one of the best out of Orlando, but obviously one of the best out right now. On the phone line, live on Hoppe Hour, is comedian Ken Miller. What's up, dude?
What's up, brothers?
How you doing, man? I'm a big fan, dude.
I'm driving to a show right now, my dude.
Which show is it? Where's it at?
I'm going to see, they got a competition in Orlando called the Monsters in the Morning comedy competition. I was in it last year.
Didn't you win?
I'm going to support some brothers, that's all.
How is that show? Because I've heard about it because they're a top-rated show on Real Radio. What's the show like?
It's a good show, man. It's a talk program, man. Current events, pretty much what every talk morning show does. The guy that put the show together, his name's Carlos. He puts together a comedy show. He did it last year, the Monsters in the Morning Comedian of the Year, and a comedian out of Orlando named Devin Sebo won it last year.
Are they very supportive of local comedy? Because it seems like they are.
Yeah, they any comic that usually comes in for the week for the improv goes on that show on Thursday or Friday to promote for the weekend. So yeah, they're really big support. And Carlos actually used to do stand up. One of the guys he used to do stand up. He's also been in some movies and stuff too. He was in what's the Identity Theft? He was in that movie.
And he was in Prison Break too, I believe.
Yeah, was he? Okay. All right. Prison Break 2. They had 2 Prison Breaks?
No, I meant he was in Prison Break as well.
Okay. I was about to say, I didn't know they had 2 of them. I got you.
It's actually coming back. Did you like Prison Break back in the day?
Nah, I didn't watch it, man. I was an Oz dude. That's the only prison show I watched.
Dude, Oz is too effed up for me, man. I don't like what they air. I've seen the first season. It's a little too dark for me.
Oz, B. That's real prison right there.
Yeah, man, I was watching the Jeff Ross special where he does the roast of prison, and I watched the full thing, not just like the clip. Dude, I don't think I could survive a minute, man. I know that's obvious and no one wants to go to prison, but I have ADHD and I'm hyper, man. I might lose my mind, bro.
Oh, no, they'll calm you down in prison. You won't be hopping around nowhere. You'll be hopping, but you won't be hopping how you want to be hopping.
Would you say that you're a very hyper comedian? What type of comedy do you do?
You know what? It depends on the show, man. I've learned, and I'm about 9 years in now, man. So I've learned how to balance my act. So a lot of times if I'm headlining, I have a lot more energy. I put a lot more energy into the show. If I'm opening for somebody who's not a high-energy comic, I don't bring as much energy. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want the show to be up and down. I come out there and I'm super high energy, and the next comic comes out and he's deadpan, and then the show just kind of dies off. So I've learned how to control my levels of comedy, if that's what you want to say. So I know how to go from 0 to 10. It just depends on the show we're doing.
Which comedy do you prefer doing? The laid-back comedy, more of the deadpan, or more of the hyper comedy?
Oh, hyper in your face. I started here in Orlando, Altamont Springs, at the Why Not Lounge, Bonkers Comedy Club, and all the comics I came on, I won't say that they were hyper, but they were in your face type comics.
I like that.
You felt the show. You know what I mean? Like when I got off stage, when they got off stage, we were sweating because we gave you everything we had, because that's what you paid to see. You paid to see us sweaty, and after the show was sweaty. So I've learned that. And one of my favorite comics of all time is Chris Rock. And I took some of his where, Chris Rock paces the stage. You watch his stand-up, he paces back and forth, and I do the same thing. So I move from one end to the other, one end to the other. And that's also for me to talk to one side of the crowd and move over and talk to the other side so everybody get a feel of the show.
Now, with Chris Rock, do you ever find that it's hard to not copy him? Because I listen to shows like Howard and Opie and Jimmy, and sometimes I have to take a few moves back and not take their on-air persona and copy them. For a comedian, is it hard, or can it be very easy to begin emulating a comic?
Well, in your beginning stages, it's hard because you have your role model. It's like any sport. You think about basketball. Every player in the 90s was doing a fadeaway jumper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's the next Michael Jordan. But and then finally you come into your own. But when you're young, man, everybody compares you to somebody. When I first started, like, oh man, you sound like Dave Chappelle. No, I look like Dave Chappelle because I'm a tall, skinny comic with a semi-bald head. Or so early in your days, you mimic your favorite comedian. We had a few years ago where Louis C.K. still is the number one right now, but a lot of Orlando comics, you would go to their show and you'd be like, oh my God, he sounds like Louis C.K. Or when Dane Cook was big, you had a lot of comics going around with the spiky hair, the jeans, the sweatbands on their arms. So it goes through phases, man, where, in the 90s, we had a bunch of Def Jam comics, so you kind of, whatever the sign of the times is, a lot of comics, they follow that trend. I try not to. I try to stand out because to me, when you stand out, people want to book you more because it's not the same show that they've seen every night.
Now, how would you rank the Def Jam comedy era? I feel like it's overlooked. There were some good comics back then.
Man, it's one of the best eras of comedy.
Yes.
And the thing about it is, I'm a black comic, but I don't do urban comedy. I do more of a mainstream comedy. But I grew up loving Def Jam. Like the first comedy show I went to, I was 15 years old. It was Chris Tucker, Michael Collier, Ricky Smiley, Cheryl Underwood, J. Anthony Brown. I went to go buy my ticket. The guy said, "Are you 21 years old?" And I'm 6'3". I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay." And he sold me a ticket, and that was the first comedy show which I cut grass all summer to get tickets to go see that show because at the time Chris Tucker was one of my favorites. So, I grew up doing that time. Now, can I do urban comedy? I can now. But when I first started, man, let me tell you.
Would you say that you don't do as much urban comedy because you want to appeal to the masses and not just the urban community, I guess you could say?
Yeah, it's a masses thing. And that's for me, I always tell young black comics when they start, and this is my opinion, so if any urban comic listen to the podcast, this is just my opinion. I tell every black comic that starts, if you can, urban nowadays isn't as big as it was in the 90s. You still got some big urban acts out there, your Earthquakes, your D.L. Hughley's, the guys that have made their name.
Yeah.
But coming up now, it's more of an underground scene now. So, I tell those guys, you can either be a mainstream comic like me and get a full weekend at a comedy club, or you can be an urban comic and get, Laugh Out Loud Wednesday or, LOL Tuesday.
That sounds very hacky, Is it very easy to be a hack comedian in an urban community? Because it seems like a lot of the comics do their same thing, And
they do, and I tell everybody this, every comic, we're all a little hacky. We all do something everybody's done before. The thing about what you call, quote unquote, urban comedy, it's easy to do, and to me, a lot of it is more demeaning to black people than funny, because it's usually we do something bad, white people do something good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's usually like, oh, black people, we don't swim. White people love swimming. Dude, I used to swim in high school. Like, I know how to swim. Black people love chicken. White people like baked chicken. It's stuff they say. You sitting there like, but that ain't what we do. But it's funny because it's just stereotypical, and people, that's funny. That's right. Black people don't swim, but majority of us know how to swim.
What's your take on Kevin Hart? What's your take on him as a comedian?
The baddest dude on the planet. He is funny. He is the baddest dude on the planet. He is a mogul, and the thing about Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart has one of my favorite bits of all time, and that's the bit when he has to go to school with the note on his chest. But no, I'm just saying Kevin Hart is just he's the best out, and he's a mogul. He's funny. He has one of my favorite bits of all time when he cusses at his teacher. And the thing about Kevin Hart, why so many people hate on Kevin Hart, he's everywhere. You know what I mean? He's everywhere, and people don't understand this as a comic. They think he just bust on the scene. Kevin Hart's 17, 18 years in. So when you're a road comic like he was before he got famous, he's still a road comic. He's still hitting the road. But when you're doing restaurants and bars and you're making $500 a weekend and you go to start making $100,000 a weekend to $1 million a show to $5 million a show, you start making sure that you're out there more because you've been to that where you had to drive 6 hours to do a show and it got canceled and you didn't get money. Or you had to stop at Wendy's and you had chicken nuggets all weekend because that's all you could afford.
But
So I love what Kevin Hart's doing, man. And dude, if Kevin Hart hears this, man, I wish him the best and keep putting it out there because the more he does it for us, the bigger it looks for comedy because they're like, we need to book more comedians. If they got the mass appeal like this, we need to book more stand-up comics.
But what do you think about the fact that it could be overexposure? Could he ever go down the road of Dane Cook? It seems like he's in every movie. Or do you think he's so talented that that would never happen?
Well, I think Kevin's that talented where it'll never happen. I think he will, because I think he's a smart dude, and I think he might see the fact that he's okay. Maybe I'm in their faces a little too much. Let me back off. And I think he may go that route. With the Dane Cook, I don't know what happened with that. I mean, I've heard rumors that he changed his style up, and people kind of hated the new style he was doing. But I mean, at the time, man, Dane Cook was just everywhere. When I first started comedy, man, he was everywhere, and he's funny. I think he's a very funny dude, and he just disappeared.
He had that one CD too.
Disappeared.
I feel like he was the last comedian to actually have like a really popular CD. Remember the one with the skulls on it with the edgy picture from like 05 or 06?
Yeah. Yeah, man, and he was just gone. I mean, it was like that. Like you saw Dane Cook, and he was like in Mr. Brooks. And then that was it. You didn't see him anymore. But you know, I don't live in L.A., but I hear in L.A. he pops up at the Comedy Store. He still does time. You know, I don't know if he's on the road. I haven't heard anything about him touring or anything. But you know, maybe the overexposure got to him, and he was tired of it. You know, because Dane Cook is a fan comic. Like, Dane Cook is that guy, when he does a 30,000-seat arena, he leaves the arena to shake everybody's hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's a fan guy. And that's another thing I love about Kevin Hart. And that's the thing that I took from Kevin Hart that I've always done. After the show, I shake every hand that came to the show.
Even a baby's hand?
Yeah, if there's a baby in the show, that baby gonna be a horrible kid when he grow up with all that cussing I do. They got to do something with that child. All that cussing I do, that baby gonna be messed up.
Now, does your mom or anybody close to you get offended by how much you swear, or are they cool with your act?
I actually took my mom to a show. I went home. I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina. I actually went home to do a show, and my mom came to the show, and I told her straight up. I said, "Hey, Mom, I'm cussing a little bit in the show. Is that okay?" And my mom said, "Baby, you at work. I know you at work." She was like, "Okay, cool, but make sure I get a piece of that check when the show over." So my mom like, "You can cuss. You just gonna have to pay me to do it."
Mother figures are so humble from the South. My grandma is from High Point, so I know about the Triad area. It's a very humble city area, you know?
Yeah, man, born and raised in Greensboro. But no, she understands the show, and I cuss, man, but it's not, I cuss to put emphasis in the joke. I'm just not up there cussity cuss. You know what I mean? Perfect joke. I don't just say a bunch of cuss words. There's some jokes in there, too.
Would you say a lot of the guys that swear a lot maybe aren't original or are running out of material, so it's easy to just say the F-bomb,
Yeah, or a lot of times it's nervous. A lot of comics do the F-bomb is when you're nervous. A lot of comics drop the F-bomb when they're working on brand new material and they're trying to think of something to say. So a cuss word is the best thing to throw in there. You know what I mean? So, it's hard to tell for some comics. Like I said, I cuss, because it puts an emphasis on certain jokes. Now, I've done my whole show clean where I haven't cussed, but it's a certain joke that I do where if I don't say the F word, it just doesn't hit hard enough.
Yeah.
I have to say it. So I say hell instead, and it doesn't get the same laugh as when I say the F word.
Hell's kind of a goofy word, it's what the hell, but then if you say what the F,
hell,
it's better.
You tell your kid, shut the hell up, and that's not as funny as telling your kid to shut the F up, and the whole crowd goes crazy because they all wanted to tell their kid to shut the F up.
Now, I want to ask you this. Do you do a lot of jokes on Trump and everything going on in the election, or do you not dabble in that?
Nah, I don't dabble in it because this election is way more hateful than anything we've ever experienced, in my generation. I can't go back to my mom and my grandparents, but in my generation, this this is it's one of the most hateful times in America since maybe the '60s, man. And I don't even want to go into it. I did a show with a comic a few weeks ago, and he did a Trump joke, and it was like total just silence. You know what I mean? It was silence, like it was an awkward silence. And because it's a touchy subject, man. I mean, if you're on Facebook, man, somebody put I'm voting for Donald Trump, and then blam, it's 100 comments about this, that. I'm voting for Bernie Sanders, blam, it's 100, but it's never anything, insightful. It's usually just fighting. Don't even get into it.
Yeah, I like talking about it because it's funny, but at the same time, it's scary, man, because all these people that are running are buffoons, and one of these 4 candidates is going to be our president,
Yeah. And, then it'll be a bunch of jokes about him.
How would you describe Obama's era the last 8 years? I think he's been pretty good, and he gets way too much hate.
I would say incomplete, because a lot of stuff he really wanted to do, he didn't get back on it. A lot of stuff that he wanted to pass through the House, through, Senate or whatever, they weren't signing it. So it was incomplete, man. It was a lot of stuff that he wanted to do that he promised. And, the whole healthcare thing didn't work out the way he wanted it to. A lot of people hate it. Some people love it. But I would say it was incomplete, man. But it was historic. It was historic. I mean, he's half black. Yeah, he's black and white. But, I mean, he's probably one of the only blacks that's going to get in there, man. So it was historic, but incomplete.
What do you think about if Clinton were to be the first female president? Would anybody care, or is she so disliked that no one would really care,
Well, the party, the Democratic Party is going to love her because that's their person. Now, the Republican Party is going to hate her. It's just the time we live in now. It's more of a, people are always claiming it's more racism, man. It's more, it's more of the parties now. It's more, he's a Republican. I hate this guy. He's a Democrat. I hate this guy. I know black Republicans, and people hate them, so she's going to get in office, and she's probably going to go through the same exact thing that Obama's going through, because it's, the House and the Senate is ran by, Republicans, and, whatever she wants has to be voted through by them, and probably won't get passed.
How bad do you think it would be if Trump were to be president?
I don't know.
Isn't it scary to think about?
It's scary to think about because of the things he says. Because he just speaks. And as the president, man, you can't just yell out. You can't be at the G summit. And yell out, man, I hate President Putin. And the thing is, I used to work in the White House. I've worked in the White House.
Really?
And yeah, I worked in the White House for 5 years. I was at White House Communications from 99 to 04. I worked for Clinton for 1 year and Bush for 4 years. And, I got to see those guys up front do speeches. I've seen them at summits. I've seen them at World Bank Association. I've seen them stateside, overseas. I got to go to 42 states and 9 countries. And not once did you ever see President Clinton or President Bush yell out, something, God bless, we building a wall. We ain't let no Muslims in here, beat the protesters up. Like, they were very professional men. And, you're the president of what they call the free world. You can't just go around yelling out.
Yeah,
you gotta research things. You can't just yell out the first thing that pops in your head.
You're going to make someone mad, Someone's going to get mad, and who knows? Maybe there would be a World War III because of what he says. I mean, each and every day, he's showing that he has no limit when it comes to his mouth. He's sort of like the outspoken shock jock from the 90s, like, let's say, Howard or Opie and Anthony, where they just say what's on their mind. But that was entertainment. You laughed in the morning. This is the president.
And it's repercussions even with people now. I can't go to my job and just yell out something at my job, and it's freedom of speech. Yeah, you got freedom of speech, but it's going to be some consequences to your freedom of speech always. So, man, I guess at the end of the day, we just have to see, and we hope, if he gets in office, we hope that he puts some people around him that, that aren't yes men and like, hey, Mr. President, don't say that. Hey, Mr. President, no, we can't shoot a nuke at North Korea right now. That ain't how this works. And I just hope, that at the end of the day, whoever we get in there, man, they just better this country and bring these gas prices down so I can hit the road more.
I think it's a disgrace, too, that he was talking about his small hands, but then something else isn't small. Like, yeah, it's a little cliche and just a little small double entendre, but this is a dude. If he were to be president, kids would be looking up to him, and it's like you've never seen a president talking about the size of their dick. It bothers me,
Yeah, and it's crazy because he's up there like he's an open micer.
Yeah.
Like he's up there doing open mic. Which I told somebody, if he wants to do open mic, he can come to the other bar every Monday at 9 o'clock in Orlando. He can get 5 minutes. I get Donald Trump 5 minutes. I extended the invite to any presidential candidate out there, downtown Orlando, Wall Street at the other bar. Come do 5 minutes, man. You got 5 minutes of open mic. You can say whatever you want there. We won't even record it.
What is the comedy scene like there in Orlando? Because here in Tampa Bay, it's very tight-knit because I'm friends with everyone from Cigar City Comedy. So what's it like in Orlando?
It's grown, man. I remember when I started 9 years ago, we had 2 open mics. We had the White Nine Lounge Bonkers, and we had Austin's Coffee Shop. And right now, I think we're up to about 15 open mics. We are, Some nights we got 3 open mics, man. We got 3 open mics. We got a improv now that closed down and opened back up. Bonkers Comedy Club has always been, here, and we got some strong guys, man. We got some young guys that are up and coming that I see some potential in. But the thing about Orlando, a lot of our talent has moved away. They've all gone to New York, they've gone to L.A. because, this is one of them cities where you come. It's like Rocky. You come punch some meat, you get in shape, and then you go to L.A. and New York for the major leagues. And I tell every young comic, man, even ones that ain't ready, man, when you think you're ready to go, just go. It's honestly, man, no need to stay here. It's not. And that goes for Tampa and Miami or any other comedy scene, man. When it's time for you to go, you go. I think every young comic, or you end up, getting married, you end up having a baby, and you end up being stuck. And I mean, it's not a bad thing. Getting married, having kids ain't bad, but if you're looking for something to further your career, it's going to be hard when you're in your late 40s or mid 40s or late 30s to up and go to LA and New York and say, all right, let me start. When they're looking for young guns.
So what's your plan? Do you want to be one of the big names? Do you want to go to Los Angeles, Chicago, or New York? What's the plan for Ken Miller?
You know what, man? I would love to, man. But right now, I'm a road guy. I'm a road comic, man. I'm up and down 95, I-10, 275, 75. Anything got an eye on it, man. I'm doing that. I'm on a plane. I'm on a damn boat, train, wherever I can go, man. Right now, man, I'm a road comic, and I'm focused more on being a father. I got a 16-year-old and a 10-year-old. I got a girlfriend that want a baby. So we're working on that. I'm looking to buy a house. So right now, man, comedy is. It's always going to be there, but fame and fortune may never hit Ken Miller, but my job here may be to just develop young talent like I've been doing in Orlando and making them famous. That may be my call to comedy, man. My call may just be a road comic, and when I get young comics here, they drop knowledge on them, and hopefully, send them the right ways, and that may be what the comedy guys put me here for, man. But if I got that big break, I'll take that mug in a minute. But if not, man, I like being a mentor, man. I like being, Pedro Lima. Pedro Lima, we call him the godfather of Orlando comedy, and he calls me the kingpin. So we like to breed talent, and we like to get these young men and ladies ready to go to bigger and better places. And if that's what the comedy guys want me to do, I'm happy with that. And if I never make it to movies and I never make it to TV, man, I've had an amazing 9 years of doing this, brother. I don't think anybody I know has had the time I've had in doing this, man, and I mean that.
Do you ever get jaded at all, or do you ever get burnt out, or is it one of the things where you're just passionate about comedy?
Oh, every time it burns out. I got burned out, and it wasn't the fact I was burned out. I was more disappointed because I wasn't getting, I wasn't getting into the big club. I was trying my best to get into the big clubs, and I would work with the features and the headliners that would come to the improv, and I would, and not to toot my own horn, I would always think, yo, I'm funnier than this feature guy. Why am I not on the road? Why am I not being taken anywhere? And I finally got my opportunity to audition for them, for the Improv Funny Bones, and a lot of other big clubs in Florida, McCurdy's, Side Splitters, Bonkers, the Comedy Zones, and I'm getting a lot more work now, man. So I'm happy now, man. I'm getting to travel the U.S. to do comedy, and I wouldn't say I was burnt out. I was more disappointed that I wasn't getting, my chance. And then I finally got my chance, and now, man, I just booked 16 weekends with the Improv Funny Bones.
Nice.
I just booked 5 weekends with the Comedy Zone. I just left Side Splitters a couple of weeks ago. I'm about to book some dates with McCurdy's down in Sarasota. I'm always at Bonkers. Bonkers is where I got my stars, so Bonkers is my heart. A lot of people talk bad about them, but, man, I love Bonkers Comedy Club, and if they listening, man, I thank Bonkers Comedy Club for everything that's ever happened to me because they gave me my start, man.
Would you say that they sort of mentored you and helped you along the way?
Yeah, because Bonkers, Bonkers type clubs aren't your regular style comedy clubs. You know what I mean? I don't know if you ever been to a Bonkers. Bonkers it'll be a bar and just their banner in the back behind you. And that bar will be rowdy. I'm talking about Blues Brothers, Raw High. Ride them in, roll them out, like that type bar. And I'm not even messing with you, man. And you'll be in there fighting to get that crowd. But it makes you such a strong comic that when you get to a club that's like and I'm not saying Bonkers isn't a regular club, but you get to a standalone type comedy club, like an improv, where you've fought so hard that getting to a crowd like that is like cutting butter with a hot knife. It's the smoothest set you'll ever have, man. Like, it really is. Now, Bonkers, don't get me wrong, got some great clubs, man. You got a club in East Orlando. They got an Ocala club that's great. They had a club in Pittsburgh, Maryland. Like, they got clubs out in Vegas that are really great clubs. But they've had some clubs where you got to go in and you got to fight your way in there. But to me, it makes you a strong comic, man. And, and I tell them every year, I always thank the owners of Bonkers, Margaret and Joe, for giving me a start. Because a lot of cities you go to, my dude, they don't have a bunch of comedy clubs. At one time, Bonkers may have had 10 comedy clubs in the Central Florida area.
Really? That's it?
You were working. So that was 20 weekends a year because they booked you every 6 months on a regular. So, you were getting 20 weekends a year with Bonkers. Now, right now, I think they're at about, maybe 6 clubs in Central Florida now. But, yeah, man, they had a bunch of clubs, man. I want to say at their peak, you were looking at 10 to 15 clubs, man. So you were consistently working, and the checks were always good and always on time.
Is there ever a point, though, where maybe you go through a bit of a dry spell where you're not getting booked by comedy clubs, or have you been good?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, man. Man, I went through one time, man, it was like 6 months, man, where I wasn't getting comedy club work. So I was just like somebody, hey, man, I need a comedian to come do my strawberry festival. Okay. I need somebody to come do the bull run. Okay. Like, you just anything to get on stage. But, where I'm at, man, I'm at that point where, this year I got a full year, but next year, I may start off January, February, March with nothing. And then you happen to open your email up and bam, a club on to say, hey, man, here's 3 weekends for you. You're like, yes, I'll take it. You never know, man. It's crazy, man. It's crazy how 1 year I have, 1 year I think I had 17 weekends, and then the next year I had 27, and the next year I had 35, and the next year I had 22, and then the next year I had 40. And this year I'm working my way up to 45 weekends on the road. So some years, man, it's amazing, and some years you sitting there waiting there, refreshing your email, hoping something pop up.
What's it like when you're not getting booked, though? What do you do to get noticed? Do open mics help? Like, how effective are open mics?
Open mics help just to work on material, man. And, you know, people tell you all the time, go up. Anytime you go up. And that's never anybody at an open mic looking to see you perform. Because most time if people come to open mic looking for talent, open mics are usually younger comics. You know, most comics who are seasoned veterans, they work their new material when they're on the road. You rarely see seasoned veterans at open mic. So, you know, open mics are good if you're trying to work material and, you know, put some sets together for young comics, up-and-coming comics. But once you kind of get on the road and start traveling a lot, man, you know, you and with me, because I have a day job, so it's like I'm on the road. I come home, I got to work my day job. So at night, I'm usually tired. So it's hard for me to go out, do an open mic, to get home at midnight or 1 in the morning to then get up at 4:30 to work at 5.
Now, for people that haven't seen your show, why should they come out?
Man, because I'm a funny mother. Shut your mouth. You know what, man? It's fun, man. It's a fun show. And you go on the journey of my life, man. When you leave my show, you know everything about me. You know I'm a divorced father of 2. You know about my relationship status, my girlfriend. You know that I'm number 8 of 11 kids. You know that I was in the military. You go through my comedy show is a movie. It's a movie, it's a story, and it starts from the beginning of my life and it comes up to my current life right now. And when you leave, everybody that's left, man, they've always walked up to me, bought a DVD and a shot glass and say, man, for a comedian we don't know, man, you're going to make it. You're one of the funniest dudes that ain't famous yet. And I thank them for it. And, you know, I tell people all the time, man, if you're in a city and you see a comedy show and it's not a comic you know, go see them, because I guarantee you they're probably funnier than the big name comic that you just spent $70 to see.
Now, before I let you go, dude, where can people find your work online, and what are some of your upcoming shows?
Oh, man, I wish I would have printed that out for you. But you can go on my website, www.kenmillerthecomic.com, and I have a calendar there, and that calendar has all of my shows on it. I'm on Facebook, Ken Miller. You'll find me. Twitter, Instagram is Ken Miller 30, Ken Miller 30, and you can follow me on that. And I'm always posting about my shows. I got nothing this weekend. Next weekend, nothing, and then that following weekend, I'm in Hartford, Connecticut, April 7th through the 10th at the Hartford Funny Bone. And then other than that, man, you got to check the website, man, because I got so many dates, man, I can't even remember them, brother.
Well, dude, I'm looking at your website right now, and I'm going to copy and paste it and then put it on my Twitter so I can promote it for you, dude.
I appreciate it, brother. Hey, man, thanks for letting me call in.
Hell yeah, dude. Keep up the good work.
Anytime you need me, man, let me know, man. I'd love to be back on the show.
Hell yeah. Whenever you need me to promote anything, actually, whenever you're in Tampa Bay, hit me up and I'll have you live on the show here. Sounds good?
Okay, we'll do. I think I'm doing the Cigar City show. I think it's May 19th. I think I'll be on that one.
All right, sounds good. I'll make sure to remember that. Keep up the good work, Ken.
All right, brother.
All right, peace out, dude.
All right, man. Take care.
Hoppe Hour. Hoppe Hour.